we have finished the first session, and thanks to all the speakers of the first session. And now we are going to start our second session, that is e-banking session. And the speaker I'd like to call on stage now, Mr. Shehzad Shahid, Head Global Business Development, TPS. And his presentation topic will be EMV Demystified. Yes, Mr. Shehzad Shahid.
So that delayed if I stretch my I will be speaking on EMV Demystified. There's a lot of talk on EMV, and I thought that it's very important to speak on this platform, which is attended by so many CTOs and other business people from the banking side, to understand what exactly does it mean and is it for you or not. Is it something that's for only UK market? Is something that's applicable on you? So let's take a look at the different aspects to it. I need to try to know. Can you please tell me this? The need that is there for EMV, what exactly it's all about, its benefits, adoption. Take a look at how the countries worldwide are, taking it. Then the solution components, primarily knowing, let's say, if a bank wants to go towards EMV migration, what have to be the different considerations for that approach. And then we'll also talk about, the future upcoming, rather, the trendy cards that are there in the market. Now, we do talk about card penetration, and Bangladesh being such a populous country of, I think, something like 18 crore. I'm sure the card penetration will increase over time. But as the card penetration increases, so does the risk of frauds. Let's take a look at what's happening globally. I wonder if you know that globally $6.89 billion worth of fraud took place only in year 2009. $6.89 billion. And it is expected that this fraud will actually jump to as high as $10 billion. And I'm talking about card fraud. I'm not talking about card not present, internet, e-commerce. I'm talking about card losses only, where the customer used the card but then later disputed the transaction. And by the way, this is a report from Nielsen. Some other folks believe that in the US only, which is shying away from EMV so far, and people talk about, when we talk about EMV, you talk about India and the US, that why they are not going towards it. In the US only, the fraud is in the tunes of $8 billion. The problem is, it's not recognized. The card fraud is $1.5 billion. These are big numbers. It's no joke. Every fraud means that there are customers who are getting, dissatisfied. They're losing trust on this technology. It's not about money only. And then the expected card loss. When I say card loss, it does not only mean the money that has been lost by the customer. It means the cost to do the dispute resolution and everything. It is projected at $16 billion. Now think about it. We're talking about $16 billion fraud in a single year, which is expected that's happening in the world today in one single year. So we can't take it lightly. We as bankers take risk as a very, very serious concern in our businesses. So while we want to move forward with all the new innovative services, risks are always a serious consideration from the regulator as well as the banks. And let's not talk about US. I will pick the statistics of US because people generally think that it's only UK and New York that's moving towards chip. So I want to highlight what's happening in the US. And let's see what's happening in your neighboring country, India. According to a survey in June 2011, 13 crore Indian rupee have been lost in card losses, card frauds, in 1 year. 13.2 crore Indian rupee. So, it's not that the fraud is perhaps something which is, stagnant and it's only there in only US and the UK and, those western frontiers. It's there on your neighbors, It's there in Pakistan, it's there in India. I'm sure it's there in Bangladesh. The problem with these frauds is banks don't talk about it. it is largely underreported. Banks don't tell that how many frauds are being, how many frauds are being happening. But it's something that needs to be taken a look at. We cannot ignore it, because if the banks are spending millions of dollars on the expansion of alternate channels and the ATM networks, this area has to be considered while we plan and devise the future strategies. So the investments are secure, the customer satisfaction is there, and the expansion strategy is consistent and it is progressive. Let's just talk about this for the benefit of many who may be thinking, what do you mean by card fraud? What is that? So there are primarily two broad categories. I'm not talking about card not present at internet anymore. I'm talking about card fraud. So there are two primary categories. One is counterfeit frauds, and the other is lost and stolen cards. The simple difference is, in the case of counterfeit card frauds, it's a card copy. Somebody makes a copy of the card and then uses the card, to perform a transaction. That's generally done by skimming, copying your magstripe data onto some gadget and then, copying the data in. It's also called a white plastic crime. The other is lost or stolen card. Now this is a different one where you lose a card and perhaps your own card is used to perform a transaction. So primarily these are the two broad categories of the card losses or the card frauds that are happening worldwide. I'm sure we as card users, card holders, and we as bankers, we're pretty knowledgeable about it. We know how many such disputes or complaints we receive every day. And I'm sure this is on the rising side, even in Bangladesh. It's not possible that when the card penetration is going up and the usage of cards is going up, the fraud is not happening. It does not happen that way. The real thing is, the banks have to have the right strategy in place to counter these frauds. So what to do? Simple thing is migrate to AMV. There are no two ways about it. People have talked about lots of things, put this thing, put that thing. Everything said and done. There is no other option, at least today, other than having EMV cards. Some say that you can actually go for the biometric cards. That is certainly one possibility, that you can have card and your biometric as your validation. But let's be fair to ourselves. Biometric devices in the terrain that we are into, where this is so dusty and everything, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Secondly, it's not interpretable. You can't really go to Singapore and say that I want to authenticate with my phone. That won't happen. So the reality or the fact of the matter is that we have to continue with a card and a PIN. And if you want to have a safe approach where our customers stick with us, they take this business as secure, serious business, think about moving towards chip cards and think about moving towards PIN. This is also called as chip and PIN. This is the trend that's going on worldwide. So what is EMV? EMV is simply a global standard that has been defined by Visa, MasterCard, and EuroPay, which actually is based on the chip card technology. So a card with a chip is actually a smart card. So this is basically a technology that has been adopted by all the large payment organizations, which include Visa, MasterCard, JCB, American Express. So it's something which is global. It is something which is needed. Let's talk about why do we need EMV. It's simply to reduce the frauds. Forget about when is the liability shift taking place, how much Visa is actually pushing the bank to go for it. Let's observe what is happening around us. The frauds are actually going up at an alarmingly high rate. So it certainly does counter those frauds. Second is, having a chip on the card, you have a lot of power, because now you don't have only data like you have on a magstripe card, you have an intelligent microprocessor right on your card. So you can do a lot of offline processing. That could be loyalty, that could be offline processing that allows you to do much more than only swipe and pay. Dip and take the cash out. So so take a look at what the benefits of EMV. And I think this is true in any country's perspective. The biggest advantage is you want to give your customers the satisfaction that they can use their cards wherever they want to use, especially when they use the cards internationally. Because when the cards are used internationally, it is general observation The highest chances of cards getting skimmed or copied is when you are using the card outside your country. So this is very important. And secondly, these are the customers who actually are paying the maximum amount of money generally. The cards holders which are traveling, outside Bangladesh are the people who spend the maximum on the cards, so they need a lot of protection. Second, from the acquiring perspective, when people come to Bangladesh, from outside, they need to know and they need to be comfortable that the acquiring terminals, be it POS terminal or the ATM machine, this accept EMV. So they are not really afraid that their card will be skimmed and the data will be copied. So it is satisfaction on both your customers as well as the customers that you are acquiring. It is now a regulatory requirement. In so many countries, in the world, mandates have been given, if not by Visa MasterCard, but the local regulators. Visa MasterCard have been trying to push the banks in their own way. They have introduced the liability shift, which has kicked in. They may be shifting deadlines, but the fact of the matter is that liability shift is there. So you have lost the right to charge back and do the representment. Other very important aspect is if you stay away from EMV, then you become a hub where people from countries where EMV is present, they come to your country and do transactions. This is now becoming a new trend. Those countries which have gone complete EMV, frauds are now coming out of those countries, and fraud is not traveling to those countries which are still non-EMV compliant. So if let's say UK was having fraud in the use of hundreds of millions of pounds in a year, do you think that these people will actually always stay in the UK even when they have gone for chip and pin? No. Those people will have their own networks to do transactions outside UK, and this is happening, I know for a fact, in Pakistan. In Pakistan, there are happening transactions on a chip card from a bank in Africa. Tough luck is the bank in Africa is an EMV compliant and the bank in Pakistan is not. So they have lost millions of rupees by a single card. It's a fact. Then secondly, you want to issue a card which is interoperable. You don't really want to do something which you can use in-house, but if you go outside Bangladesh, you can't really use that. If the entire world is shifting towards EMV, you can't stay away from it because it's a very close-knit world. It's a world where you want your customers to go out and do transactions. Then lastly, it actually puts you in a state where you can move towards the other, I should not say future products, because contactless and NFC-enabled mobile phones are now reality, but it again is now becoming a reality even in countries like South Asia. Let's see how EMV has helped Europe. I have given taken an example from these are Europe numbers of UK, Ireland, and Turkey. If you talk about UK only, look at the numbers, how they have dropped because of their mandate to use chip and pin. The numbers have dropped by 67% on the acquiring side and 58% on the lost card frauds. 58% in 5 years. I think it's a significant amount of money that has been saved, especially when considering that the number of cards are always on the rise in the past 6 years. So this is something, this is real, this is something that works, this is something that is used by the people who have been affected. So we have to perhaps recognize it. We should not shy away from it because it's something that we have. It's on the doors. It's perhaps inside our banks. So let's take it with a very serious mindset and do something about it. Now talking a little about how has been the spread of EMV. Let me give you an example. Now 36% of all payment cards by November 2010 are EMV capable. So we are perhaps the only 66% of those customers who are still having a match type card. So it's now there. 36% of all cards are EMV cards, and